I started that company for $3,500. That was my total exposure to see if it worked or not. And then it was a few more grand, but I mean, you're not talking, I came from the world, you need $50,000 to test something, or $100,000. Even back then you did.
This is Biz Ninja Entrepreneur Radio with your host, Tyler Jorgensen.
Welcome out to Biz Ninja Entrepreneur Radio. I'm your host, Tyler Jorgensen, coming to you with a friend of mine from Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Florida, by way of Australia. You may have seen some of the masterminds and businesses he's created, and I'm very excited to have out on the show today, Glen Ledwell. Welcome out.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. We're going to talk about masterminds. We're going to talk about war wounds and scars, and we're going to talk about travel and life and living the life of your dreams. We're going to talk about law of attraction. We've got a lot to cover today. I want to start at the very beginning, Glen. When was that moment you first realized you were an entrepreneur?
Oh, well, there's when I was an entrepreneur and when I realized I was an entrepreneur at 5 years old. I didn't realize I was an entrepreneur until I was probably, I started my first real company at 17. I still didn't probably think I was an entrepreneur. I'm like, well, I'm too cocky and too arrogant and I'm smarter than everyone else. I'll have to work for myself. I thought it was a disadvantage. That's how much I didn't understand, right? But it probably wasn't till late, maybe even 30s. I'm like, oh, this entrepreneur thing, working for yourself, which I'd always done. But when I look back, I'm like, I was a hustler in school, for football cards and marbles and creating games. Well, that was entrepreneurial, like I was trying to make money when I was a little kid, So I'm like, for real. I always had it in me,
Yeah, I love it. I feel like that's the story. People early on, they were doing those things, in the US, like the lemonade stands and the hustling the baseball cards or football cards and that kind of thing, or it just happened later, right? And I feel like that's less common for the real, it's in the blood entrepreneurs. What would you say your first official real business was?
Well, that was when I was 17. I was in the building industry. I was a plumber by trade. I started work quite early. I wasn't even quite 16. But it was an apprenticeship. But, again, being entrepreneurial, right? I started a separate business when I was like a second-year apprentice. I had a friend who was licensed. He was a couple of years ahead of me. So we started a company together and we started, doing houses and stuff like that. But, doing plumbing. So that was really that was a proper business. That wasn't a kid's thing, that would have been the first one.
Yeah. So you have a couple of amazing masterminds, Flight Club and Speakeasy, and we're going to get into those. But how important would you say masterminds and the concept of surrounding yourself with other talented people, how important is that for an entrepreneur?
To me, I'm probably quite biased on this, but to me, it's everything. Like, I don't understand how anyone becomes truly successful without it, especially in this. And look, I'm talking 18, 20 years ago when I got into the online world. But now I think even more, like, we're so isolated, and we were back then too. But now everything's online. Like, I think people need it. Well, I know they crave it even more. So how important, it's key. Like, if you can't afford to be in one of the really, really, if you're not that level masterminds, there's lower tiers and there's lower tiers, and then there's live events, and then there's virtuals. Like, you've got to get around like-minded people. It's everything. Without it, you're struggling. Everyone on here could relate. Your family normally doesn't get it. I was lucky. Mine kind of did. They tried at least. Your friends certainly never get it. So you spend all this time, isolated, feels like you're pushing, uphill, like a boulder uphill. When you've got people around you, though, that are doing the same thing or even better, they're doing better than you, which was really, when I first moved to the US back in 08, beginning of 08, I didn't know this mastermind thing. And Frank Kern, a lot of people probably know, he was my first mentor. he started this thing on this mastermind. I'm like, and it was so much money at the time. I mean, it was $30-something thousand. I didn't have any money. Anyway, but the long story to all that was, I realized being a part of that, it made us step up. Well, we're spending this money, we better get the value. That was probably the biggest thing, believe it or not. But being around other people, your ego kicks in. Well, you can't be the guy that's not doing anything, right? That's not having a go when you're checking in with. So I really found that the ego really drove that, and to take advantage of it. But from then, I mean, I was an absolute obsessive mastermind junkie from then. I mean, I guarantee I've been in more masterminds than anyone on the planet.
See that, and that's fascinating, because simply from a supply and demand evaluation, one would say, you're already in 4. Did the market need another one? And whether or not the market needed it, you did it, and it's been successful. And it's Flight Club has a very good reputation in the industry as being a high quality mastermind. And I know you maintain quality there ruthlessly. You're very particular about making sure good people are involved. So what, if you're already in 4 masterminds, what was the call? What was the pull to create your own?
So in the beginning, it was really peer pressure, to be honest. It was, friends were kind of pressuring, why don't you start, a mastermind? And, to be completely honest, I've been around a long time, and but, you never back yourself, right? I had so much credibility in my industry, but you don't, really realize that about yourself. Everyone can relate to that, I'm sure. But anyway, through a lot of people, I'm like, okay, maybe if I do it. And getting back to your earlier point, well, why? What was different? I really realized what, in my opinion, was missing in the industry. There wasn't anywhere near as many as there's now, but there were quite a few. I mean, I was in all of them, Nelly. But no, what I saw is, and again, this isn't putting any other one down or judging anything, right? This is just in my humble opinion. All the good ones, I mean, the higher end, the good ones, generally, and this is massively generalizing, they're all a bit big to me. They're that 100 to 200 people. In my opinion, too big. That's a little seminar, in my opinion, not a mastermind. Again, no judgment. The high-end ones all have good people, right? Smart people, but not always cool people. There's always one of those show-off kind of douchey, and they're allowed in the group because it's bigger, I guess. You can kind of absorb it. But they're allowed there because they're successful. And I just always just think, man, I don't get that bit. But where I feel all of them missed was connection. Mm-hmm. Put great people in a room. Generally, they're a bit, again, in my opinion, a bit broad too. It's not like my Flight Club Mastermind is specifically for online marketing entrepreneurs at a high level. That's it. If you're a genius in a brick and mortar, or you're a genius lawyer, that's our group's not for you, for better or worse. So the lack of connection, the specificity of the people in it, because I want the biggest value in a mastermind, which I feel should be all masterminds. If you've got good people at a high level, them talking to each other and connecting should be the highest value. It really should. But I find even groups that have the good people, they don't do that, or they can't do that because they're all in all these different kinds of businesses. But they all miss the social stuff. They all miss being strategic about getting together. Like the networking is a couple of hours of drinks one night. That's not network. There's nothing deliberate about that. So I set out to do, I want the tactics and strategies of this one. I want the fun and the connection of this one. And I want it more intimate. I'm really going to focus on people really, really getting to know each other. And honestly, that was all I did. How do I do that? I just only invite cool people. Like, I know I laugh when I say it, but it's like, if you just invite cool people that are open, giving, friendly, I don't care how extroverted, how introverted, what your person, I don't care any of that, right? It doesn't matter. If you create the right environment with cool people, and, oh, by the way, they're in similar worlds at a high level, I don't have to do much more, to be honest. I do, but that is the main thing that, in my opinion, 90, probably 5% of the groups miss. the most important thing.
And I feel like, what was the last part?
No, well, the last part is being strategic at the meeting, like putting people in the right environment. Like I'll give you one example. It's all the same, but you've got a great restaurant and amazing food, but you're sitting at one big long table or two long tables or tables of four and you can't move. I don't care how good the food is. I'm not there for the food. I'm there to talk. So I just make sure that it's not that. It's in big tables in one room or pass around. Like, it's not rocket science. It's just, and what I found, and what have I done, 35 of these events now? That's all I have to do. Cool people in the right environment. That's it. And people just say to me at the end, I've never been to an event and met so many people. Whether it's my meetings are around 60 people, whether it's 20 people or 200 people, there's no way they'll meet more people than they meet at my meeting just because of what I just said. Not rocket science. I'm glad that everyone doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Well, so many of them struggle because, even though they're high ticket, they are expensive to run. And so you have kind of these numbers where it's like, okay, we have the first 50, 60 people. Well, what if we can add 50 more? The costs aren't going to double, but that's a lot more profit. So profit becomes a huge drive, and that's okay, right? People need to make money in their businesses. But have you seen that drive for adding more people has actually diluted mastermind efficacy?
Oh, I think it's exactly that. And again, no judgment, right? Again, I think it's a bit of ego of mine. I wanted the group I want to be in, right? That's it. I don't want to run the group with 100 people either. There's a whole story behind that, how I was going to do it. No. And people say to me all the time, why don't you make it bigger? I go, because I won't love it then. Yeah. I'm very, very grateful, and I was lucky I didn't need the money, which is why I didn't do it years ago, probably, right?
Right.
And believe me, I get it. If you're not doing well one month and, someone's going to pay you 20 or 30 grand and, well, maybe you might let that person in that you wouldn't have, right? I was really lucky that I didn't have to do that ever. And like I said, no judgment people who do. So I guess I had that luxury.
Yeah.
I do think it's ego too. Like, I want everyone to come and to say it's the best one that, really, like that's what I want. What I present it as, I need it to be that, Yeah. So maybe a bit of ego in that way, I think, is maybe a good thing.
I think that's a healthy view of ego. So, you mentioned that you didn't need the money because that means you had your other business, the business that you were joining masterminds for and things like that. Yeah. Give us a little bit of a background in that business into internet marketing that kind of got you into this world. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to hear one of the biggest challenges you faced along the way and how you overcame that.
Okay, yeah. So that first company that I still have 18 years later, it's called Mind Movies. It's a personal development company, direct to consumer. Our thing is we tie personal development techniques, most of them actually, with technology. Very law of attraction based, meditation, meditations, visualizations, audio, visual, chakra healing, NFTs, EFT, all those kind of things. But our very first product was called Mind Movies. It was a visualization tool. And for those who've been around a minute, back in the mid-2000s, a movie called The Secret came out. And it really changed everything in the personal development field. It really launched, I think, wasn't really in it before that, but I think it really, really exploded personal development online particularly. Well, I was taken with that movie, and a long story short, I'm like, geez, imagine if you could leverage off this wave. It had just been on Oprah. Boom, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people knew about this now. And I wonder if you could leverage it. And anyway, literally the next day, a friend of mine said, do you want to start a business? I had 3 other businesses at the time. They didn't have a name for it yet. That little visualizing thing that I did. Anyway, again, long story short. I knew nothing about online, but, always been an opportunity seeker. So, what's going to cost? A few grand for this, few grand for that. Whatever. Just do it. Anyway, so back then it was so much easier than now. We didn't know, though. We'll put a video on YouTube. What's a YouTube? No idea. None.
Yeah.
Social media, what's that? There was MySpace. We didn't even understand what that was. But anyway, obviously it worked. We put a few videos up. We got some traction. Oh, now we've got to build this product. Oh my God, when I look at that back now. But anyway, the point to all of that was, I mentioned the secret was timing. Like we absolutely crushed it. Back in 2008, we did our first big launch. That's when people really knew about us, kind of towards the end of 2008. We did a product launch. And that just, talk about challenges. Oh, my God. I was grateful, and I'm still grateful. For some reason, and I didn't realize this till later, the techniques we teach, I kind of already lived a lot of them, like no fail. You don't give up. And maybe, like I mentioned it, maybe that's a bit of ego, where it's a good thing, right? I can't fail. No fail. And man, during that launch, we didn't know what we're doing. I guess we knew a little bit more than most, but we did this launch, everything that could have happened. I mean, we literally got shut down by our email provider in the middle of the launch. Cost us about $50,000 that day. PayPal shut us down, kept all our money, and then not only kept all our money, didn't pay us for 6 months.
Yeah.
Until we literally they still weren't going to pay us, and we had to threaten to sue them, and I had a really good attorney, which was great. Anyway, I mean, everything that could have, anyone would have given up 15 times during that period leading up to. But the thing was, we did an okay, no fail. And we got through that. And from then, because we got through that, I mean, fingers crossed, it worked. We ended up, anyway, that was really the launch of everything. Because back then we built an 80,000 list. That was like having a 5 million list now.
Right.
So we had a business, even though PayPal had all our money. We didn't have any money. We pulled in $700,000 in a couple of weeks with a $100 product and no upsells.
Wow.
Give you an idea, right?
Yeah.
The sales page was converting at 29% on launch day. We were getting email open rates of 102%. People are opening our emails twice, 2 and 3 times, obviously. Like it's insane, right, when you think about it.
Yeah.
But the thing back then was, that was the first ever big product launch ever in personal development. So it was like, wow. And then over the years, everyone tried to, but of course now I'm the guy now. I'm the expert. And of course I leveraged off that. Like I said with Masterminds, I leveraged off Frank Kern's name to get people to get on board. Oh, I'm being mentored by Frank. Like I used everything I could to build a bit of credibility, to do that first. But yeah, I mean, during just that first phase, the challenges were just, geez, you want to cry.
Yeah. I don't think people realize building things online in the early era, like I had a health business, right? So we were selling supplements. This was before Shopify, before, there wasn't Stripe. You did PayPal, everyone got shut down, right? It's like, oh, well, that wasn't right. Then you learn merchant accounts. Then you learn how to code your own website. Then you learn Facebook ads, and then the pixel changes. And then there is pixels, all these things evolving and changing and becoming new. It was simpler, meaning it wasn't as complex, but it was actually easier to be more successful, like to actually figure out what's working, which variable it is. But things could break so much easier because the ecosystem wasn't as established. Right now, there's so many tools and backup systems and redundancies and all these things that didn't exist back then. What was, when you look at all the change that's happened in internet marketing over the past 10, 15 years, what excites you the most?
Oh man, that's hard. Actually, that's hard. What excites me? Well, like everything you just said, you hate to be that guy. Oh, it was so much better back in the day. It just was easier.
It was.
I wish we knew. We knew. I'd have tried a lot harder. I wouldn't have just chilled for 10 years making lots of money. Like I would have pushed a lot harder.
Yep.
If I had any idea. But what's exciting, I think, is what you said. Yes, as much as it is harder, everything is harder now. When I say everything, conversion rates, lead costs. But to get the business going, to your point, it's never been easier.
Right.
I mean, you use Groove, Groove Digital or ClickFunnels or, Go High Level, and you just, I got a business instead of, 17 things. And if you're not technical, which I never was, it's just an absolute nightmare. Whereas now the barrier to entry has never been lower. Now, is it harder to get that? Yes, it is. But it's not that you can't do it.
Right.
I mean, I built my whole business on joint ventures. Why? Because I didn't really know anything. Well, I didn't even know that. But I'm like, I can talk to people. I guess I can do that. But I did that through necessity. But I still think today, and it's harder too, like everything. But I still think today, it's when you're starting out, what have you got? Your social media that you've got to, you do some organic, you reach out to people, you blah, 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 you tag them, whatever. You can build a bit of traction like that. But just connecting with joint venture partners, I mean, there's no less cost-effective way than that to do it. Is it easy? No. Business isn't easy. But what I've been saying, and I'll still say now, I mean, I've been in business 40 years. I've been in the online world for nearly 18. And I tell you right now today is still easier than any other business. And I've had dozens of them. When I got into this world, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, it's hard, but it's not. Still back then, the barrier of entry was nothing. Like I always laugh about it. I started my movies, which is literally, I don't know what it's earned, 60, 70, 80 million dollars. I started that company for $3,500. That was my total exposure to see if it worked or not. And then it was a few more grand, but I mean, you're not talking, I came from the world, you need $50,000 to test something, or $100,000,
right.
Even back then you did,
Sure.
Those things are still true.
Yeah.
Even more so, though, I think.
Yeah, it's, I fully agree with what you said, that the barrier to entry is lower because the tools and systems are there. You don't need as much technical know-how because there's just a developed ecosystem. But because of that, it's more crowded, right? So it's easier to get started, a little bit harder to build momentum. But even then, the solutions are readily available. If you're a data guy, then start on ads, right? If you're a connector, start with JVs, right? Like start where you have the highest chance of succeeding, because there's so many different paths, right? There's not just one path in business today. There's so many opportunities for growth. What with where you are now in your business with building Flight Club, you've got Speakeasy now, Masterminds that are kind of a little bit more of a local mastermind spreading throughout the country. What gets you really excited these days in business and marketing? It really does. Well, those two businesses, the masterminds, I do really enjoy. I always have. I find, what I call normal business, I just find it not as exciting as it used to be. But I think it's just I've been doing it so long as well. But the masterminds I love, I always have and always will. That's something I'll never retire from. My other newer business, I'm really excited about it because the reason I got it, I mean, I've been saying for a couple of years, I'm never going to build another company. Like, there's no way. I'm done. Like, I'm 57. I'm like, nah, you know what? Another 5 years. And then now I find myself building Speakeasy, which I'm really enjoying. So I tell them, I'm enjoying that. It's different. But now, to our point that we're saying, like, everyone who's been around more than 5 years knows this. The last 5 years, lead costs, call it acquisition, no matter what world you're in, has gotten more expensive and more expensive and more expensive. And conversions have got lower and lower and lower and lower exponentially the last 5 years. This year's the worst. Last year was the second worst. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. So what's the problem? Cost of lead is too high and conversions are too low. And then there's email deliverability and all that has gone to just nothing. Right. So again, that affects who gets through your acquisition costs. That affects your conversion rate as well. So I found that a solution that solves that biggest problem. It's called GetQualifiedLeads.AI, and it's a newer company that I'm involved in. It's not a new company, but basically solves that problem. It gets you incredibly highly qualified leads. We're only working B2B right now. So if you're in the B2C, I am dialing that in, but B2B, it's the cheapest, most highly qualified leads. I mean, bar nothing out there. So as soon as I started using it, I'm like, the guy who built the company I know very well for quite a few years, I said, man,
I want a partner in this thing. So here I'm building another company.
Yeah.
But it's only because of that. It's been a while since I've gone, my God, that opportunity is worth dropping everything for. And I think that is. And just because of everything we just said,
Yeah, absolutely.
So that excites me.
I love it. And I mean, I like that you're finding something with AI that is, really going to actually make people's businesses better, and not just whip up images or something, but actually help them make their businesses. It solves a real problem in business.
Yeah.
You mentioned something earlier about when you were talking about law of attraction, and like you've mentioned several times that the choices you make are because you don't enjoy it or you do enjoy it. How important is quality of life and lifestyle design for you as you build businesses and do all these different things?
Well, for me, and again, I'm too far this way, but I've always been lifestyle. Then business and making money, and obviously your relationships and everything is incredibly important there too. But enjoying your life, I don't think most people are capable of enjoying their life as much as I do. I just don't think they are. And it's not about money. I mean, I always enjoyed my life before I had a lot of money. And just as I got more money, I enjoyed my life more. And don't get me wrong, it took me quite a few years when building that first company, quite a few years, working ridiculously hard. But it was always the goal, right? I've done this dozens of times. But eventually when I got it to a level, and believe me, I still had a life. I just worked really, really hard, Yeah. But, having time, I mean, freedom and time has always been my thing. Why? Well, of course, you need money for that, but it's always been so important to me.
Yeah.
I mean, for many, 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 and this is where the downside is. If I wouldn't have been quite as much like that, I'd probably have $100 million in the bank now. And I wouldn't be caring about building companies, and I wouldn't be worried about it. So there's that and that.
Yeah. But it's interesting because it's easy to do that and say, well, I would have had all this, but think of all the experiences and the trips and the life that you would have skipped in order to do that. And we don't know the future, right? So it's like, man, you've got to find that balance. And to me, I'm the same way. I recognize I could have built different businesses, but I wouldn't have been able to be as present when I raised my kids, right? So I'm like, man, I'll never, ever trade that or feel that I should have. What's one item on your personal bucket list you're going to accomplish in the next 12 months?
I think it's really just blowing that company out of the water. Well, not I think so. Yeah, blowing that company out of the water. Like I said, I'm very aggressively building Speakeasy as well.
Yeah.
But I have partners in that. And I have partners in this too, but I guess it's a little different though. My role is different. And honestly, other than that, I mean, I'm still living a really good life,
Yeah. What are some things, in your current life that are really important to you in lifestyle design what are your non-negotiables?
Well, working too hard is not negotiable. Hasn't been for a long time, like a long time. Going away and traveling when and where I want, how I want is always, I mean, my life for many, many years has been split time here in Vegas when it's nice weather. In the 2 hot months, I go to Barcelona and I spend the summer there. And then the other half of the year, I'm in Miami. Like, I do that because that's what I'm a creature of weather. Yeah. So being like this, it's a cold outside here in Vegas. It's not cold for people who are in the real cold, but for me, it's too cold. I don't like the cold. I just don't like the cold. So I avoid it, right? So again, most people go, that's ridiculous. What, you keep multiple homes? What a waste. Yeah, well, depending how you look at it. So even though I'm very active building these companies, you're never going to see me working 10-hour days, 7 days a week. There's just no way, I won't do that anymore.
I love that. And I love that even when you're into a season where you're building, you still maintain focus on the lifestyle and the life that you want to live. Well, I appreciate, Glenn, you sharing everything with all of our guests here on Business Ninja Entrepreneur Radio. Guys, go check out Speakeasy. What's the website for Speakeasy Mastermind?
It's just speakeasymastermind.com.
There it is. Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we are going to link in the show notes all of Glen's links, and you can learn more about him. So check out bizninjaradio.com for his episode. To all my Biz Ninjas, wherever you're listening, watching, or tuning in, it's your turn to go out and do something.